Welcome to Perisno, a land where elves and giants roam in the ancient moors and forests. Dwarves craft great works in their mountain strongholds, and men form mighty empires. The ancient kingdoms have all but fallen, but Clymorian forces are still lurking in the shadows. They watch, waiting for any signs of the old kingdom of Perisno to return once again. Will you be the one who restores the ancient kingdom to its former glory, or will you build a new empire atop its ruins? Be wary, hero. There is danger at every turn.
From where Elric stood, it seemed to frame the Jade Man's sightless head like a halo. It was completely silent. Elric took the image in the gem from his pouch and held it between forefinger and thumb of his left hand. With his right, he drew Stormbringer. Avon, Smjorgen, and the Vilmirian crewmen fell back. He stared up at the huge jade legs, the genitals, the torso, the arms, the head, and he raised his sword in both hands and screamed, "Ariok!" Stormbringer's voice almost drowned his. It pulled in its hands. It threatened to leave his grasp altogether as it howled. "Ariok!" All the Watchers saw now was the throbbing, radiant sword, the white face and hands of the albino, and his crimson eyes glaring through the blackness. "Ariok!" Then a voice which was not Ariok's came to Elric's ears, and it seemed that the sword itself spoke. Elric, Ariok must have blood and souls. Blood and souls, my lord. No! These are my friends, and the Olab cannot be harmed by Stormbringer. Ariok must come without the blood, without the souls. Only those can summon him for certain, said a voice more clearly now. It was sardonic, and it seemed to come from behind him. He turned, but there was nothing there. He saw Duke Avon's nervous face, and as his eyes fixed on the Vilmirian's countenance, the sword swung around, twisting against Elric's grip and plunging towards the Duke. "No," said Elric. "Stop!" But Stormbringer would not stop until it had plunged deep into Duke Avon's heart and quenched its thirst. The crewman stood transfixed as he watched his master die. Duke Avon writhed. "Elric, what treachery do you... no!" He jerked. "Please!" He quivered. "My soul!" He died. Elric withdrew the sword and cut the crewman down as he ran to his master's aid. The action had been without thought. "Now Ariok has his blood and his souls," he said coldly. "Let Ariok come." Smiorgan and the creature doomed to live had retreated, staring at the possessed Elric in horror. The albino's face was cruel. "Let Ariok come!" "I am here, Elric." Elric whirled and saw that something stood in the shadow of the statue's legs, a shadow within a shadow. "Ariok, thou must return to this manifestation and make it leave R'lin Kren forever." "I do not choose to, Elric." "Then I must command thee, Duke Ariok." "Command? Only he who possesses the image in the gem may command Ariok, and then only once." "I have the image in the gem." Elric held up the tiny object. "See?" The shadow within a shadow swirled for a moment as if in anger. "If I obey your command, you will set in motion a chain of events which you might not desire," Ariok said, speaking suddenly in low Melnibonean, as if to give extra gravity to his words. "Then let it be. I command you to enter the Jade Man and pick up its eyes so that it might walk again. Then I command you to leave here and take the curse of the High Ones with you. When the Jade Man ceases to guard the place where the High Ones meet, then the great struggle of the upper worlds begins on this plane. I command thee, Ariok, go into the Jade Man. You are an obstinate creature, Elric. Go." Elric raised Stormbringer. It seemed to sing in monstrous glee, and it seemed at that moment to be more powerful than Ariok himself, more powerful than all the lords of the higher worlds. The ground shook. Fire suddenly blazed from the form of the great statue. The shadow within a shadow disappeared, and the Jade Man stooped. Its great bulk bent over Elric, and its hands reached past him, groped for the two crystals that lay on the ground. Then it found them, and took one in each hand, straightening its back. Elric stumbled towards the far corner of the square, where Smiorgan and Josui Crown Rare already crouched in terror. A fierce light now blazed from the Jade Man's eyes, and the jade lips parted. "It is done, Elric," said a huge voice. Josui Crown Rare began to sob. "Then go, Ariok." "I go. The curse is lifted from R'lin Kren and from Josui Crown Rare, but a greater curse now lies upon your whole plane." "What is this, Ariok? Explain yourself." "Soon you will have your explanation. Farewell." The enormous legs of Jade moved suddenly, and in a single step had cleared the ruins and begun to crash through the jungle. In a moment, the Jade Man had disappeared. Then, the creature doomed to live laughed. It was a strange joy that he voiced. Smiorgan blocked his ears. "And now your blade must take my life. I can die at last." Elric passed his hand across his face. He'd hardly been aware of any of the recent events. "No, I cannot." And Stormbringer flew from his hand, flew to the body of the creature doomed to live, and buried itself in his chest. And as he died, Josui Crownrare laughed. He fell to the ground and his lips moved. A whisper came from them. Elric stepped nearer to hear. "The sword has my knowledge now. My burden has left me." The eyes closed. Josui Crownrare's 10,000-year lifespan had ended. Weakly, Elric withdrew Stormbringer and sheathed it. He stared down at the body of the creature doomed to live, and then he looked up, questioningly, at Smjorgen. The burly Sea Lord turned away. The sun began to rise. Gray dawn came. Elric watched the corpse of Josui Crownrare turn to powder that was stirred by the wind.